Now, it's been a while since I've done one of these narration type things. So right now, his whole video is 8 minutes and 4 seconds. So I'm definitely going to cut a bunch out because there are a few things that I want to specifically dive into. Uh, so let's get started. But before we do that, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and here's a brief statement. Did you have a hard time waking up this morning? If you did, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like, and comment below. Hopefully today isn't Monday. Now, he's going to talk about a bunch of stuff here. Personally, I want to like the iPad. I've owned quite a few, and in fact, I think they've all been minis. I think, yeah, I'll say 3 different generations of minis, and in fact, 4 if you include the one that I bought for my mom. But I've never really found the actual use case for it. Like right now, I have a Galaxy S9 Tab or Tab S9, whatever it's called, and I bought it, used it for a couple days, then I realized, well, I have a MacBook, bigger screen, built-in keyboard and trackpad, better speakers, longer battery life. I don't know how this tablet fits into my everyday use case. So right now it's sitting there and it's powered on, but yeah, I don't really know what to do with it. So he's going to talk about some iPads. I got a few comments to make in general, and then hopefully that'll be the end of the video.
I know. I've been doing the math too. It's been more than 500 days since we've received new iPads, and your guess is as good as mine as to why. What was once Apple's darling and actually Steve Jobs' final appearance on stage hasn't gone all too well ever since. That boom the tablets saw earlier in last decade hasn't really recovered, and it might just be because there's a need for some more innovation.
Now, I agree with what he just said, and at the same time, feel like the reason that things haven't taken off is similar to what I explained earlier in the video is what exactly am I using this for? Like I have other devices already that do everything this tablet can do with the exception of a touchscreen. And it's like, well, when am I actually needing to have a device that has a touchscreen? And for me, the answer is almost never. Yes, my cell phone has a touchscreen, so we've all become accustomed to that. But in terms of having another device, a bigger device, a more gaudy device, I don't think most people actually require that. And for whatever computing device they use as their primary device, whether it's a phone or a full-blown computer or the combination of the two, I don't think it's easy to then insert a tablet to then, I guess, fill a void that just isn't there. Yes, I know there are some use cases, small children, pilots, doctors, I don't know. But for the everyday consumer, it's if I'm watching something or if I'm typing something or if I'm listening to something, I feel that the tablet is the worst way to do it for any of those things. And again, I have my Galaxy Tab, whatever over here. I've had a bunch of iPads, and every time it's all right, I want something smaller. So boom, pull out the phone, or I want something bigger that's sturdier that allows me to actually be productive. So then I'll pull out the laptop. And then, yeah, the tablet just sits there. So let's see what else he has to say and what other things are speculated to be coming down the pipeline.
Yes, iPads are so powerful today that your MacBook Pro is now powered by its guts, but you can't deny that their form has its...
Now, and just to clarify, I feel like he should have said it the other way around, that it wasn't that the iPad got the M1 chip and then we put the M1 chip in the Mac, but it's the Mac got the M1 chip and then Apple put the M1 chip in the iPad. And I know that you're going to say, well, all of this stuff stemmed from the A series chips that were in the iPhone, which is true. So if he were to say that, well, it's the iPhone that got so powerful that now those chips are in the Macs, then I'd say, okay, I can understand that. But yeah, don't give more credit to the iPad than what it deserves. Plus, keep in mind that yes, the hardware is there, but does Apple allow you to fully take advantage of it? And I believe the answer is no.
Their function regardless of how powerful, and that hasn't really played in its favor. Maybe not launching iPads all through 2023 helped Apple go back to the drawing board. And, well, there's only one way to find out. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocket Now, and it's time for another deep dive. Yes, set your calendars for May 7th at 7 a.m. Pacific for Apple's next event, and the invitation is enough to hint that this is all about iPads. The event seems to be called Let Loose, and we see a smaller than usual Apple Pencil on what looks to be paper with much bolder colors than the subtleness we've seen used for iPads in the past.
Now, I hate speculation. We'll see what gets released in a couple of weeks. A smaller Apple Pencil, cool. Like I feel like at that point, Apple is just like, we don't know what else to do with the Apple Pencil. So smaller one, maybe, and then have it cost a little bit less, maybe, or maybe it's smaller, and then, or maybe the fact that it's smaller now means that when you're charging it, it doesn't take as much space when you magnetically attach it to the side of the iPad. Don't know. But then also, what else can we do? Pretending as if I were Apple, I guess maybe we can change the colors. I think the base model iPad has some colors, right? And then, yeah, are they the same colors as the iMac? I don't know. Don't really care. But yeah, at this point, I think Apple has just run out of stuff to do, which isn't their fault. Like, I don't blame them for having to just pull things out of their ass, because it really isn't, there isn't that much to do. Now, if I'm wrong and come 2 weeks from now, or actually I think it's next Tuesday, something stupendous happens, then I'm like, oh, wow, I was wrong. But I'm pretty confident that we're just going to get another, iPad, whoa, you can do these things with it that you could probably do on your current iPad, but we're going to limit them to these newer iPads, even though the hardware is capable of actually doing it on the old iPads. So it is what it is. And I was talking to a friend a while ago, and she was upset that the iPad that she had wouldn't work with the second generation Apple Pencil. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a decision Apple made to say your iPad's too old to support this second generation Apple Pencil. So it wouldn't surprise me if this coming week they announce something that is just like, yeah, we're just going to make it so it works on these models and newer. Because
Notice how these resemble what we've seen with the latest iMac when it comes to color options. If you go into the website for the event, you'll get to see more hints that this is all about the Apple Pencil. Now, for those of you hoping for updates on the iPad mini, let me just clarify this might not be the event for that. Both Apple analysts Ming-Chi Kuo and Bloomberg's Mark Gurman think that Apple is developing a new iPad mini, but they both think that we probably won't get to see it until later in 2024. When it comes to the base iPad, that's actually Apple's most recent update. A report from Taiwan about Apple's development plan suggests that the new entry-level iPad will be launched in the second half of next year, meaning, 2025, even if Gurman claims late 2024 the earliest. The next iPad is anticipated to feature the faster A15 chip, an upgrade from the current A14. Gurman speculates that the new entry-level iPad will likely be a more affordable version based on the 10th generation model from 2022. But, well, the updates that we are expecting are to the Air and the Pro, so let's begin with the lighter one, quote-unquote. It seems that Apple has decided to pull a MacBook Air approach in giving us two variants this year. Ming-Chi Kuo reported quite a while ago that the standard 10.9-inch variant is set to return, but this time you also get the option for a larger 12.9-inch model.
Now, I don't know what else he's going to say after that, so I probably could have waited and then done all this in post. But a 12.9-inch iPad is just too big. I see them. I've seen the Big Pro in the store, and I'm just like, why would you want to use this? If you drop it, you know what? Let's not worry about damage. Okay, let's just think about actual use cases and then price. So on the screen, yeah, I have the price, whatever it is. And it's comparable off memory to what a MacBook Air is. Just buy the MacBook. Like, unless you need the touchscreen, which I don't like. If you're drawing, maybe, I don't know. But it just doesn't make any sense. And to now have a larger iPad Air, why? Just buy the MacBook. So the prices are on the screen, and you can see why it would just make sense to get the MacBook, because what the MacBook comes with the 13-inch screen, it comes with a keyboard, comes with a trackpad, comes with better speakers, comes with a bigger battery, comes with the fact that because it has all that stuff built in, you don't need to buy the stand or what magic whatever. And it just seems to make more sense. You have a full-blown desktop operating system. I don't understand why somebody would want a massive iPad. Just don't understand.
While we do know the smaller model will stick to a standard liquid retina LCD, there's a lot of conflict on the larger model. Crow has been mentioning that there will be an oxide backplane provided, which is similar to what the mini LED iPad Pro features. It's the reason why many speculated that Apple was simply going to bestow mini LED to the larger Air, but a report that emerged yesterday from Ross Young contradicts it, claiming both will bring the same LCD. Everything else will reportedly be just the iPad that we know when it comes to design. Rumors have claimed some sort of update to the camera hump we've seen since this design actually belonged to the iPad Pro back in 2018, but we'll have to wait and see, as the change might simply be about just adding a flash to it. Another important update to the lineup is Apple's M2 chip, which is the natural progression along with its video encoding and processing benefits. Now, if Apple is considering an update to the color options, this might be the lineup given the price point. So how about if we actually do get those sort of like iMac colors on the iPad Air? That would be amazing. Now,
It's just colors, like I like when you have color options, but getting excited about them, I don't know. Like whenever I had like a purple phone or, something that isn't just the standard black or gray or white. Yeah, it is cool. But, at this point, we're really just reaching. Like, what about these colors? Want to buy it now?
big kid in town is the update to the iPad Pro lineup. We've been hearing so many rumors of these changes since at least 2020, and yet none of them have yet to make the cut. So yes, yet again the report claims we're getting OLED displays, and this time for both the 11-inch and 13-inch variant, as yes, the 12.9-inch model might grow by a hair, even if it might just be a bezel reduction.
So 13-inch iPad, and yeah, as you pointed out, it might just be a bezel reduction, so the actual footprint of the device might be the same. Just get the MacBook. I can't say it. Just get the MacBook. Just get the MacBook. Yeah, that I don't know what else to say. Personally and professionally, it's don't waste your money on this expensive ass iPad. If you want an Apple product, cool. Buy the MacBook. You'll be substantially happier, and you can go on about your life. It's an all-inclusive package. Whereas with the iPad, cool, if you want to hold a 13-inch iPad, you will quickly realize you do not want to hold a 13-inch iPad. And then if you decide that you need to then buy all the other accessories to make it essentially a laptop, I'll just come back to, well, why don't you just buy the MacBook to begin with? Buy the MacBook.
Reports do even mention the FaceTime camera could move to a more logical horizontal position like the base iPad.
Now, for the people who have pointed that out, which is everybody, the FaceTime camera is on the wrong side. Yeah, it's on the shorter side of the iPad instead of the longer side. Now, I believe the rationale is, well, Apple needs a place to put the required hardware to charge the Apple Pencil. And as you can see right here in this still, the Apple Pencil charges on the long side of the iPad. So putting the camera array there could cause some issues. Now, here are, I guess, the things that we could speculate. You swap that Apple Pencil for a smaller one, then you put the camera array on the long side of the iPad. Now the Apple Pencil is shorter and will stick comfortably on the side, on the shorter side of the iPad. Boom, we've now fixed this made up problem. Cool. All right. So maybe that's what's going to happen. We'll find out in a week. Now, I will say, as I've been using that Galaxy Tab S9, Samsung, yes, has a magnetic side for the stylus that comes included with the tablet. You can attach it to the device on the side magnetically, but it actually charges on the back of the tablet. So if you're actively using it, boom, yes, you can store it on top and then easily access it, draw it, use it to draw or whatever. But when you're actually storing it, you put it on the back. And the case that I have, which hopefully I'll have a still or something up, it works seamlessly. I mean, the case covers the stylus or the S Pen, and it all just works well together. Whereas the way that Apple has it designed, that yes, it's easily and always accessible, but if you want to protect it, it doesn't really work as well. So I feel Samsung definitely implemented the use and storage of their stylus a little better than Apple. And also, the camera on the Galaxy Tab S9 is where it's supposed to be.
Though we wonder if we're still getting Face ID with these changes. Obviously, OLED displays are more expensive than Mini LED, and speculation has been strong around a major price hike. Some claimed up to $500 an increase, but as we get closer to
if that is actually true, a $500 price increase, I mean, we'll see. Again, it's next week, but that would be insane. And I would hope at that point that the iPad Pro line just dies because it's already, again, as expensive as the Mac. So just buy the Mac. It's that simple.
launch, we hear no more than $160. We did hear that there could be an option for a matte display, and maybe the way to get it would require you to spend more on a higher tier storage option, which could warrant the $500 to make sense.
Now, for those of you who might not be familiar, and I'm probably not remembering everything, but I know for whether it was the Studio Display XDR or the other one, Pro Display XDR, I think is what it was called or something. Yeah, you can get a anti-reflective coating on the screen, and other companies have their ways of implementing reducing reflectivity of these screens. If somehow that is rolled into an OLED display and then also a higher storage and just having to pay more money for it, like, yeah, that'll suck. That, you want these things that we could put on all our devices? Well, the only way to get it is to get more storage and more RAM. And it only comes on the big screen instead of, like that. But that's what Apple does, and that's what we grow to expect from them. And the reason I make these videos is to inform the 8 people that are going to watch this that other options exist. Yeah, like, I'm in the Apple ecosystem. Yeah, I know it's hard to take that first step to get out of it, but you can do it. And unfortunately, depending on what types of device you're using, there's really only one other option. So if you're using cell phones, and yeah, it's Android. If you're using computers, then it's Windows. But those two things work relatively well together. So there's no reason that you have to stay in the Apple ecosystem to continue to be served up. The iPad's a fine device, so I'm not going to say these subpar products, but to be continued to be served up these ideas, these babies of just a few people of, well, this is what we want and this is what the consumer is going to get. So leave the ecosystem if you're not happy, or just peer outside of the garden to see what else is available, because I'm quite confident that you will find something else that is just as good, if not better. Now, I know, again, tablets are a little different because Apple just has dominant market share, but in terms of usability, that S9 does everything that this iPad could do, with the exception of one thing: iMessage. That's it. iMessage. It all comes back down to iMessage.
Displays also have the advantage of taking up less space, so for anyone who's felt the iPad Pro needs some sort of design refresh, it could just be that this was the missing link for us to get a slimmer profile. There's an interesting set of rumors that's at least, like 2 years old, that sees iPads adopting a glass-on-glass design.
That would be terrible. You know, that would be another reason to not buy it. You don't want a glass slab that is as big as that for, oh yeah, you dropped it. Now the screen might be jacked up or the back. You don't want a glass slab that big. It gets slippery or even more slick than it already is, and it's just a mess. So I hope to goodness that they do not put a bunch of glass on the back of that thing.
Not exactly sure that's going to happen, but we keep getting reports of some sort of MagSafe charging option coming to these iPads. So the question is if this is going to be the iPhone's kind of MagSafe or the MacBook's kind of MagSafe.
Good question. And I don't know which one I think would make the most sense. I am struggling to really think. So again, why speculate? We can just wait till next week to see if it actually happens. But I do want, which one? I mean, the actual MagSafe on the laptop is real MagSafe. It makes sense. I'm charging my device. I am stationary. And whether it's using the USB-C port or the MagSafe connector, I like the MagSafe connector. Now, in terms of, I guess, implementing it in with the rest of my devices, yeah, I just use USB-C because everything else that I use has a USB-C port, so why have one single MagSafe connector for one device, or really two devices, when everything else I use uses USB-C, kind of like how Lightning was. I got all these USB-C devices, but I got one Lightning phone, so I got to keep a Lightning cable with me. So yeah, in terms of usability, it makes more sense. But in terms of whatever, because it's just a big iPhone, yeah, maybe it will make more sense just to put wireless charging on the back and just have a puck, which I don't understand MagSafe on the phone. The whole point of wireless charging was to be able to just put your phone down, walk away, whatever. But then, of course, you couldn't use your phone because if you moved it, then it would, stop charging. So MagSafe is, all right, let's make sure everything's aligned properly, and we'll give you a cable. So now you can continue using your phone while it's wirelessly charging, even though there's a cable right here. And at that point, it's just like, we'll just plug the phone in. Like, if you're going to be tethered to a cable, just plug it in. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Last but not least, there's the inclusion of Apple's M3 chip, which is also the natural progression for the lineup and which should bring a ton of improvements in performance. One to look forward to is how this will allow the iPad to play more power-hungry games, as we've seen with the new iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Maxes and the latest MacBooks. For those of you wondering about software though, well, rumors have been pretty limited. Having a launch right before WWDC does make us wonder exactly what kind of software improvements we're getting, and if any of it will make this the ideal work iPad that many of us creative pros have been looking for. The apps are there, but limitations to how to access the file system have always made the experience cumbersome.
Perfectly said. Accessing the file system on an iPad or an iOS device is awful. Apple has done its best to try to make it appear as if the iPhone and the iPad are not computers. And when you do that, you abstract some of those underlying complexities, which again, which aren't even that complex. It's just simply, you have root. We'll just call it that. I know it's not called root on everything. And then you have this hierarchy of directories. And you can drag and drop stuff. You can copy things. You can do whatever. You can see the file structure. You can see how things are organized on the computer. And with the Mac, it's there. Of course, I'm used to Windows. But yeah, it's there. And you can do everything you need to do. But when you pretend that these devices aren't computers, then it just makes things more difficult for users. And I will say this, because it's kind of related to what he just said and just going off on a slight tangent like I always do. Most people, if you say, navigate the file structure, they might be like, what? And then, hey, if you're on a Windows computer, yeah, just click the little folder and find wherever. Oh, yeah, cool. All right. Some people, whatever. But there are people who are, let's just say, computer scientists who, know how to navigate the thing. And, it's second nature to them. But a couple years ago, and hopefully I'll be able to pull up the article, there were computer science majors. So people who were about to start studying computer science, young people who did not know what a file structure was. And the reason they didn't know is because of the iPhone. I am 99.999% sure the reason they are like, what's a file system, is because everything's been abstracted or obstructed or whatever when using an iPhone. And that's how they spend a lot of their time computing, whatever they're doing on their phone. And they're just unaware of, oh, wait, we can do whatever with these computers or these computing devices, but Apple doesn't want us to. So until the iPad isn't treated like a computer, which I don't think Apple will ever treat it like a computer, then it's going to always be limited. And even with that being said, even if they did start treating it like a computer, for the price, we'll just buy the Mac. Buy the MacBook. Buy the MacBook. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
About the only thing we've heard so far is that we're finally getting a calculator application, and that's about it.
Why is it taking to iOS or iPad OS, whatever it is, to get a native calculator app? What? The fact that this is newsworthy is problematic. Why wasn't it there? I don't know how many people use the calculator. I don't know how many people have downloaded calculator apps on their iPads. No idea. But it just doesn't make any sense for it to not be there. It's like, oh, we didn't include a calendar app. Which I'm just using that as an example. It's like, why? Why? It's again, and I said it in another video, it's like low-hanging fruit. Just put the app there. Why do we even have to mention it? Yeah, I saw the article myself and I said, what? Like, I know that it wasn't there, and of course I asked myself, why wasn't it there? All right, Apple, well, why this year are you deciding to give it to the people? As I've said earlier in this video, I think they've just run out of stuff to do. So they're just like, calculator.
Seriously, the calculator, that should have launched since the iPad launched. Other changes might be coming.
Now, again, I point the finger at Jaime right there. I don't know how many iPads he has. No idea. Don't know if some of them are his or some of them are the company, whatever. But it's little things like that it should keep you from using the product at all. I know it's just a calculator, and you can just download the calculator app from somebody, from the App Store, third-party stuff. But it's when these companies choose to skimp on the small things, but people continue to buy them, is when they win. So the last video that I just finished recording was talking about battery life, and it's why is the battery in these expensive phones so small in comparison to what's available? But you'll sit there all day and complain about your battery life, but you won't look at the alternative, which in the mobile realm is just Android, and it's not an Android versus iOS conversation. It's just you need a phone that lasts all day, and they exist. So go look at go look elsewhere instead of just sitting there complaining all day. So complain about the calculator app, complain about the camera placement, complain about the Apple Pencil charging placement. Complain about the colors if you want to do that. Complain about the camera, whatever. Go complain about the lack of transparency for the file system. Stop buying the stuff. That's simple. Stop buying it.
Accessories. So let's begin with the Magic Keyboard, which, aside from rumors of it claiming some sort of a metal part in the build to make it feel more like a MacBook,
then why? Why not buy a MacBook? I don't know if it's true because, again, and I'm sorry that I don't. Yeah, that was just a bad face. I didn't want to pause. I didn't want to do that to him. But yeah, hey, let's make this iPad feel like a MacBook. Then why buy it? Buy the thing that feels like a MacBook because it is a MacBook, not buy the thing that wants to be a MacBook, which with any of the not folio cases, but the Magic Keyboard cases, it's just buy the laptop. buy the thing this thing is trying to be.
Know exactly what's coming here. The Apple Pencil is also reported to get a design change to its third generation since, let's face it, the Apple Pencil 2 is like from what, 2018? Still, the change is coming.
And I said it earlier, with these changes, with these subtle changes. So yeah, if a third generation Apple Pencil comes out, then it's going to be, oh, well, this third generation pencil is only supported on these iPads. And then you're just like, why? What is so drastically different about this Apple Pencil that my, let's say, 6-year-old iPad isn't going to work with it? You know, like, and I just made up numbers, but I feel that an Apple Pencil should work on all. If one Apple Pencil works on them, then all of them should. Now, if we're 20 years from now, and they're still making Apple Pencils and iPads, and all right, maybe the first generation Apple Pencil shouldn't work, but I don't know what's in there that would limit or prohibit it from working with all iPad OS devices. But yeah, again, low-hanging fruit. And they're just like, oh, you want the new Apple Pencil? You got to buy the new iPad. Or you already bought the new iPad and you have the old Apple Pencil? It's not going to work. Buy the new Apple Pencil. Again, just stop buying the crap. Yeah. Now, the one thing I will say, completely off topic in terms of my rants, to actually give them some credit. Looking at the Apple Pencil, and then when I think about my Galaxy Tab S9 with the S Pen, the little nib, the little writing part on the Apple Pencil is user replaceable. The one on the Tab S9, I believe, is not user replaceable. I mean, I've looked at it plenty of times. I'm like, I don't think I can replace this little thing, but if it does break, I'd be a little concerned. So, kudos to making that thing easily replaceable. Now, for both of them, I don't think the battery is easily replaceable. So that's something they definitely could have worked on. But yeah, give them some credit after however many minutes of me ranting in this video.
Are also speculation, with some of us putting way too much thought into the invitation as it shows us to be smaller, wider, easy to grip. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be the case, but if the iPad does get slimmer, it could make sense.
Now, this isn't about him talking about anything, but just I'd always bring up the app library. One of the worst things they've done to their iPad or iOS devices. If I want folders, I'll make them. And that's it. I don't need an operating system automatically curating stuff for me. I don't understand why Apple thinks that's a good thing. Like, please help me understand why the Apple library exists. I really am not understanding its purpose. Because, yes, the alphabetical list of applications should have been there this entire time. If that were just the Apple library, I'd be like, finally, like, I use this. But this implementation of the app library is bad. And yes, I know you can swipe down and everything's alphabetical, but it should have just been that, because the user can make folders. So let the user make folders, on the other home screen. If you swipe all the way to the right or the left, however direction, make it so that it's just an alphabetical list, and that's it. And I'm happy I'm thinking about it now, and I hopefully will maybe put some B-roll up. But the Xiaomi 14 that I have has something similar to the app library like this, like curated folders for the user. But you can turn them off. And you can turn them off. And it's just like, oh, I like these categories or I don't. So if I don't like them, I can just turn them off. And in typical Apple fashion, they make a decision for you. And then you don't really get to make any changes yourself. And that sucks. It really does. So, again, iPad OS, iOS, the app library is probably one of the worst things Apple has done to their product from a software level.
To conclude, what can I say? All the changes do sound pretty enticing, but really just for the fact that these are new iPads. Unless the software finally gets them to the point where their prices make computing sense.
And I think that was one of the heaviest things that I hit. For the price, just buy the MacBook. Now, for the iPad mini And even the base model iPad, sure. You know, like I'm not going to knock people who get, you know, $300 iPad or $400 iPad, or I think $500 for the mini now. But you can always find it on sale at some point, or find a used one, whatever. But when you start looking at the more expensive Airs, or definitely the Pros, it's like you're getting close, if not exceeding, MacBook price. Just buy the MacBook.
It could just be that this will be another year where we don't necessarily get what we want, even if it comes in a shinier and slimmer package.
So stop buying them. Stop buying them. You're not getting what you want. Stop buying them. They're going to keep making them because you keep buying them. And I'm guilty. I have an iPhone, but I haven't bought a new iPhone for myself ever. I've bought one new one for my mom, and then I've contributed to the purchase of my brother buying a new one. But I bought one used iPhone from AT&T many years ago. Bought an iPhone 4 refurbished. And since then, all my iPhones have been used, so I'm not giving money directly to them. But as I've always talked about in most of my videos, Android is my operating system of choice. And the things Apple does, I just don't like. So I try my best to not give them any money. So if he isn't satisfied, and that was, I think, the basis of my last video that I just uploaded. If you aren't satisfied with what they're producing, why are you buying it?
It would honestly be great for this to finally be the best iPads Apple has ever made, not just because they're new, but because they can finally make you ask the question, what's a computer? Like Apple did in some ads years ago.
And they will do whatever they can to make it appear as if the iPad and the iPhone are not computers. And all that does at the end of the day is hurt the user, and they're going to keep doing it. So we are probably 30 minutes into this. I'm going to shut up and call that a video. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz.
Let us know what you think about our impression in the comments down below. And while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on my personal handles to see me want this lineup to succeed forever, since it launched, since day one. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
And there's his stuff. So yeah, subscribe to his page if you aren't already. I could understand why you would want a company to succeed, but at the same time, if they continuously disappoint you, then you need to look someplace else. And yeah, like for tablets, there aren't a ton of options. I know that, but Apple appears to not be doing it for him, and for a lot of people. Look someplace else. Or for me, just don't buy a tablet. I mean, again, you have a phone, you have a computer. What void is that tablet actually going to fill? I don't know.